Hi and welcome back to the show. And today I've got Kathleen and Gerhard Stoop in the studio from Vital Signs Consulting. Really interesting couple. They help people really build their own confidence to be their own brand and have their own successes. Very, very exciting. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
It is really interesting. I see people like yourselves and I go, wow, the great things you're doing and helping other people. And I must say, how did it all eventuate? Where did you two get together? You know, how did you come up with this? What's your background?
Yeah, well, I guess it's a bit of an unusual story. I actually started off in the allied health field as an audiologist, and I met Gerhard along the way. He was working for a hearing aid company.
Right.
And before long, I think we discovered that we really had a mutual interest and passion in self-development.
Right, okay.
And it sort of grew from there.
Yeah. This self-development, Gerhard, what brought that on? Is it something from family? Was it passed down, or was it just your training when you left school?
I think it started when I was still at university. I started working when I was 16 years old in school holidays. And always work at companies and always could see how you can do things better, how you can save money, how you can do things a little bit differently. And it was always when I went to university, I always worked at companies as well. And after I got my degree, they offered me positions because of what I've done. So from a very young age, I had management positions in doing things differently, building practices, looking for opportunities. And not only the business, but also in people, because you always need people to get you where you want.
I'm going to say something there. You said something really interesting to me. I can see Kathleen smiling as well. You've got young person with older people and you've got management positions. How do you cope with that? And I know you've both been through very similar journeys. That must be challenging.
It is challenging. When I was 16 as well, I joined the police reservist.
Right.
And when I was 29, I became a captain. So I had to tell people that was 45, 50 and 55 years old what to do in a situation. So from a very young age, I've learned how to handle those situations. And it's all about autonomy and people making decisions, not telling them what to do. So I think
I was going to ask you what that skill set was there.
I think nobody likes to be told off. You know, say you should not do that or you should do that. I think it's about if you can develop people, they will get you where you want to be. And if you're a dictator, you're not going to get that help from them to get you where you want to be.
Have you found that, because being an audiologist and helping people with hearing problems, have you found the same? That is there a test on your patience sometimes when you're kind of going, oh, have you got new batteries? No. But have you felt the same? Because you're obviously dealing with older people with hearing problems. I'm probably being stereotyping people now, but I'm thinking older people, they're looking at someone younger and going, oh, well, you know.
And I think you're absolutely right. There's definitely an overlap in a way between coaching and health. You know, getting people to take action on their health, it is often very much part of coaching and getting people motivated to take action. So there's definitely an overlap between what I've done in the clinic and some of the principles of coaching. And I think, as Gerhard was saying, using some of those principles where you recognise that people really do have the solutions within them. They really just sometimes need someone to hold their hand and realise how to get to that solution themselves. That's very powerful, rather than telling people what to do in a medical sense. That doesn't get a lot of buy-in with hearing aids.
No. And I can imagine it with coaching. It's interesting you both hit on the same topics from slightly different angles, but you both said no one likes being told what to do, no one likes being told off. And you mentioned something really interesting there, Kathleen, from a coach's perspective, is your belief systems that seems to be coming from both of you, is you believe people have answers within themselves that you can bring out.
Yes.
Is that always the case?
I think people don't trust their gut feeling.
Oh.
And with coaching, we try to help people to trust their gut feelings. Because sometimes when we think of our brains, we call it paralysis by analysis.
Yep.
So we basically
Guilty.
so we think ourselves out of a good idea,
Yes.
And when we think with the heart, we sometimes get burned by emotion. So if you trust your gut feeling, and you make the decision you're going to do it, it is amazing the results. And sometimes what we tell people is if you don't trust your gut, is make a note in the back of your diary. And say,
Yes.
I had a situation, this is my gut. And 3-4 months later, go back and say, I was right. And start trusting your gut feeling.
Oh, that's interesting. So you're a person into diarising or journaling your experiences to refer back on it to learn.
Mm.
And also to trust.
To trust.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one. I use the word learn and you go to use the word trust. Do you find that with your background as well? A lot of it has come from people going, I actually trust what you're telling me now, so I've got more confidence to do what you're saying.
I think people do sometimes need their own thoughts validated, and sometimes people know what to do deep down, which I guess is what we're calling that gut feeling, but there's some kind of obstacle or barrier which they might not even be aware of at the time that's preventing them from taking that step. And I think in some ways coaching is very liberating in being able to go through that process. It's very different from therapy. A therapeutic approach. Coaching is really about, the answer, let's figure out what the obstacles are, and let's get you to where you want to be.
It's interesting there when you're saying they've got the answers inside you and you're bringing it out. And now I'm looking at you two, you've had really successful careers. You've run companies, you've turned companies around, you've both worked in industry and been very successful in it. And someone would say, you're crazy. You two left all that to run your own business.
Yeah.
Did you go through that analysis? I don't want to use that, but did you go through that thought process? Did you journal down what your actual thoughts were?
Absolutely, and we went through the process ourselves of going with coaches, because the reality is we know you can figure it out on your own, but the process for us of getting a coach was like having a GPS. We got to the point where we said, we've got all these skills, we really want to use our time and our energy in a way that fulfills us, and
but also other people,
and other people, but it's
Yeah.
now time to really do our own thing, and so it's been an exciting journey.
Yeah.
But
Was there a trigger point? I know a lot of people that are now. Don't want to use the word stuck in a job, but I've been there, so I can relate, and you've been there too, and we're going. Was there a point where you went? Was there something significant? Somebody said something, or a coach helped you do something that went, you know what, it is right for us, and you just went for it?
Yes, I think for me, I worked for a few companies, and most of the owners worked in their business, not on their business.
Oh.
So they could not see the bigger picture, where I could see the bigger picture. And it was so frustrating for me to work in a company where I can see that we need to do things differently to get the results we want, and they couldn't. And that's why I thought, if I can see the issue in your business, I can see issues in other businesses as well, and help you to get unstuck, where you start working on your business and not in your business.
Wow.
Because for me, if you have a business, it means that you can go away for 2 months and there's income. If you don't have that, you've got a job, and you actually got a very bad job. Because if you work for somebody, you've got leave, you've got sick leave, you can go away. But when it's your business and you can't go away, you've got a very bad job.
And you've got a very strict boss.
And you've got a very strict boss. So for me,
well, you've got a very strict boss. Sensational. Look, I'm Coach Stump. We're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere, because we're right back with Kathleen and Gerhard. Hi, and welcome back. And yes, I haven't let them out of the room. Kathleen and Gerhard are still here. When I told them what the next segment was, they were like, oh no. Because we all go through it, me included, challenges, emotional and actual practical challenges. And I guess because you've been through it, it gives you a greater understanding for when you help other businesses. But yourselves, what kind of challenges did you go through, emotional challenges or practical challenges to getting your business up and off the ground? What have you found?
I think first of all, being new to a country, first in New Zealand, starting to build new relationships, and then immigrate again to Australia, was very difficult.
Why make it easy? Just change countries.
Yes, I mean, we changed countries twice, and it was to learn new systems and culture. I think was a big thing for us to learn different cultures and how they do things, because when you're in a country, you think this is the only way to do it, and then you go to a different country, say, well, they do it totally different, and you say this cannot work, but they survive.
Yes,
they still do it. So
interesting word you said, culture. Kathleen, how did you find that? Coming from country to country, and all of a sudden, culture and trying to adapt not only just in your personal lives, but then adapt it for a business life as well.
It was an unexpected challenge in some ways, because when we moved from South Africa to New Zealand, your initial thought is, well, it's a colder country, but they speak English.
Yeah.
We all love rugby. There's a lot of common ground there. One of my biggest challenges initially was that people didn't understand my South African accent, and one of the words I couldn't say was the word ear, which they say something like air.
Right.
And so there was a real communication barrier there. I guess on the positive though, what it forces you to do is really reevaluate, to take a look at yourself and to see how you might need to change to adapt to the needs of people. And certainly the Australian, the New Zealand, the South African cultures are all quite different in subtle ways. But at the end of the day, we're all people, and it's about finding that common way to connect.
And connection. I think if you can find a connection, and you feel related to a person, you can do business or you can have a relationship. But you need that connection, and that we found once you have that connection, everything changes in business, in friendship.
Yes.
It's interesting you use that word connection there, because I find a lot of businesses, I went through it myself, and you get stuck and you wonder why the sales aren't coming in. But I found what you're saying. I've suddenly gone back and said, you know what, I've stopped connecting with people. Do you find that business, and obviously someone stepping into business now is going to take this on board, but someone who's actually stuck now, is that one of the areas you two like to go, let's just have a look what's happening with the connections, not only just with your employees or if you're just by yourself, but with customers, suppliers, networks?
And I think 99.9% of the time we find that the owner do not communicate his vision with his staff. So we all work and we all get a salary, but we don't know where we're going to. And once you communicate that goal and that vision, and say, if we get after a quarter to this level, this will be the reward, everybody's on board.
Yes.
And guess what happened the next quarter? Because they know there was a reward, they do it faster. Because people, it's not about the money. It might be a movie ticket. If we get this target, there's 2 movie tickets for you and your partner. So it's not always about money, but people need to know where they're on their way to.
Yes.
And business owners are very bad in communicating that.
I think when you're talking like movie tickets and so forth, when I had young apprentices running in my building company, that was one of our rewards. We had 2 in particular, absolutely fantastic, and they redesigned. I said they McDonaldized my workshop. They were brilliant, and they didn't do it for the money. They did it because they said they wanted to work in a better environment. So we actually bought them Gold Class. Gold Class is really luxurious cinema for those overseas. Bought them cheese platters, and they went with their partners, and that's all they talked about. But it really went. They came back and said it wasn't the money; it was that you appreciated what I did.
Exactly.
And that's what they were after. Do you find, I will say, just stick on this for a moment with connections, I find that sometimes business can be lonely, and people forget that they need to go to where their customers are. They need to network, they need to force themselves to go to those early morning breakfasts, all that. Is this one of the cultural aspects in business you're finding very prominent in Australia today?
I think what I find is that sometimes dealing with some of the clients at the moment is that you need to give your client what they want, you know. And sometimes they got a product and they think this is a product for everybody, but maybe it's not. It's because they didn't go out there and ask people, what do you need? You know, and then manufacture or develop a program for that.
Yeah.
So they've got this idea in their heads, but it's not tested.
And I think networking groups really do offer that kind of support. Because you're right, it can be a really lonely journey, particularly if you're a one-person business.
Yes.
It's really important to have those connection points, not only to collaborate and support other businesses, but also to test ideas in the market. And
good point, that one.
you know, it only takes, you always say, it only takes that one person, one opportunity, one idea that can really be a game changer for you.
Yeah.
So we don't always go with a smile on our face at 7 o'clock in the morning, but it's really important to attend those networking events.
Yeah.
Because you just never know who you're going to meet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm going to take a quick break, but before we go, I've got to ask you, when it comes to connections, do you find you've got a huge advantage being a husband and wife team? Everyone says you can't answer your questions, but we can. Don't ask them that. Yes, we can. Come on. Does it give you an advantage being a husband and wife team?
I think so. For us, we worked together for more than 10 years now.
Wow.
And she compliments me in a lot of ways.
And we complement each other.
Yes. So we're a very strong team. She's the person that will research until 10, 12 o'clock at night, you know, and go to bed with a white paper.
I love Google.
You know, so we complement each other really well.
Does it assist you, and I'll make this the last question before you go to a break, does it assist you when you're with a client that you find sometimes clients resonate with either one or the other more so, or do they appreciate they get two perspectives being given to them?
I think it's more the two perspectives because, as Gerhard says, we do complement each other and we'll often perhaps see the same situation from completely different angles.
It's a huge advantage.
So I think it's probably, would you agree, the two perspective view that people find beneficial.
Yeah.
There's always two ways to do a thing. Not only one way.
And then they can trust their gut.
Yes, exactly. You've listened.
We'll take a quick break, and don't worry, we're not going to let them out of the studio just yet. We'll come back with more with Kathleen and Gerhard. Hi and welcome back. Yes, I've got Kathleen and Gerhard from Vital Signs Consulting. Great name, by the way. And all about giving you the confidence to be your own brand so you can live that ultimate freedom of life that you want to. And we're talking a little about your background. We've known where you've come from, your own challenges. Thanks for sharing some of them because they can be quite personal. But people go, okay, so you've gone through this, but there must have been solutions that you've managed to bring into your own world that you're able to bring for clients. What are some of the things you found for yourself that have gone, these are great, these are giving us the breakthroughs and they're helping us enjoy the success that we're having?
I think for me, if I can start, is working in South Africa, I had a business mentor. And that made a huge difference. And I want to acknowledge Martin Ellenberger from Cape Town. He was just a remarkable person in my life, teaching me business. And later on, the company got me a business coach. So I had a business coach and a business mentor.
So the business got you a business coach?
Yes.
Wow. Now that's forward thinking.
Oh yes, no, totally. And because we were growing so much, you know, I think they saw the potential. And having a business coach and a business mentor, it changed my life. The way I do things and think about things just changed completely. I'm not the same person now than 15 years back. And I'm grateful for those people in my lives. And I think that's why we do this, that we can have an impact in somebody else's life, that they can look back 5, 6 years and say, whoa, this is the transformation.
Yes.
So I don't know how you feel.
I would absolutely agree with that. I think we could have probably, in building Vital Signs Consulting, figured it out ourselves eventually.
Yes.
But having business coaches is a little bit like having a GPS. You put the coordinates in, you know where you're going, and you can check the map and make sure you're passing the landmarks.
Yes.
I think probably one of our biggest challenges and greatest breakthroughs in terms of solutions and what we can now offer our clients is being that sounding board, because what tends to happen when you start a business is you get caught up in your own head. And so you fixate on tiny little details which are incredibly important to you, because
Every
this is your
business owner's
baby.
going to start to laugh and go, oh, she's
That logo.
Kathleen's talking to me.
The business name, you know, I can't tell you how many tears were shed about having the perfect name, looking it up on ABN and then looking it up to see if the domain name was there, and just having that all fall apart. And if you don't have somebody keeping you accountable
Yes.
and
Yes.
just keeping those things in perspective, it's very easy to be busy
Yeah.
but not be productive. And at the end of
Yeah.
the day, you have to get productive
Yeah.
because you're in it to earn a living
Yes.
by doing this.
Reminds me, I had an old manager, the very first manager I had, and I was rushing through the place. He said, "What are you doing?" So I got a good big quote to do. He said, "So tell me, you're rushing to do the quote, or you're rushing to clean your desk before you do the quote?" I'm like, "I'll do the quote." He goes, "Good answer." But I understand.
It's very easy to lose perspective, and I think also just having somebody with experience to be able to talk through and to really begin with the end in mind, so that you've almost got this blueprint before you actually start the business up. You've thought things through. Gerhard referred earlier to, you know, you've got to work on a business, because if you don't have a business, what you really have is a job. You replace one job for another. And just being able to talk these things through as a couple with business coaches really made a very big difference for us.
Yeah. You both mentioned strategies, planning, blueprints there. Do you find when you work and yourselves, by having that blueprint, and I'm sure you've had the obstacles put in the way, but because you can see the end, has that made it easier for you to go around the obstacles without too much grief?
It's a different perspective on your business, because you look for where you want to be and you reverse engineer.
Yes.
From
one of
year,
my favourite terms. Love it.
You work to 1 month, 1 week, 1 day. So suddenly it is much more manageable to get to your goals. So that was the biggest thing for us with our coaching, is that you have to reverse engineer.
Yes.
And always have the bigger picture in your head.
Every successful person that I've ever spoken to, and we can talk some big names as well, they've either got mentors, or they've got advisory boards on working with them, or they've got business coaches like yourselves working with them. One thing I hear though is that sometimes it's the business coach can give a little bit of tough love, because if they challenge you and you can't answer it, they don't go away. They don't let you get away. They go, no, you said this. Do you find that's one of the strengths that you picked up from being coached yourself? The ability to recognise when something needs to be challenged, so it doesn't waylay someone or drift them off on the wrong path?
And I think that's sometimes almost impossible to see for yourself when you're in the situation. And it's an interesting balance, because in a way, as a coach, you've got to be the person's biggest cheerleader, but you've also got to be their biggest task marker.
Sergeant Major.
Master, you've got to give them the strategies.
Over there.
but it's about accountability, and that's, I think, where it's also good to be a husband and a wife team, because we can sometimes play those roles together.
How do you? Because that can be scary for some people. They can say, "Hold on, you're going to challenge me," and what? How do you help them overcome? Because I know what it's like when you very first go through with a coach. It can be quite emotional. It's a little bit nervy. You're not quite sure. They challenge you and and then they want to quit because it's easier to go and hide. How do you help people get past that emotional? How did you do it? Was it because you're together?
It made it easier.
Yeah.
I think it does make it easier if you've got support, someone in your family or your friends group who understands what you're trying to accomplish. Because as you say, a lot of people just go, "But you've got great jobs. What are you doing? Why are you trying to complicate your life?" So I think it does help if you have that support. But I think ultimately you get to the point where we did, where you want something bad enough and you know that if you don't change, things aren't going to change on their own. And that sort of drives you. And I think also you don't just jump into the coaching process. I think we're very good at getting people to understand how coaching works.
Yes.
And we agree together. It's a partnership, really. You agree on the goals and how you're going to get there.
But also, when I start, I always ask, are you interested in coaching or are you committed? Because if you're interested, it means you will do something until it gets a bit hard and then you stop. But if you're committed, you will do whatever it takes.
Yes.
So if you're just interested, then coaching is not for you. But if you are committed that you want to reach your goal, yes, then coaching will definitely get you there much faster.
I think that commitment is what we see in all the stars, whether it be a tennis player or whether it be a business entrepreneur. You know, even like Branson, I know that name gets thrown around, but we have lots. You know, I think of people like Maggie Tabra here in Australia, and Ida Buttrell is one of my favourite entrepreneurs of all time because of what she actually changed the business world for women. I'll go on a record and say that. Yeah. Talk about commitment and guts.
Yes.
Do you think it takes that level do you think you've got to have that courage to step into this world?
I do. I think it's terrifying and exhilarating at the same time. It's always scary to step into the unknown.
You said that, and I was thinking about the toboggan racing at the Olympics. I'm going, terrifying and exhilarating. It's a bit like that, isn't it? Yeah. Well, just about as scary.
But I also think, you know, we were never taught at university to be entrepreneurs. We were never taught at school to be entrepreneurs. And I think that is the thing that changed now at schools, at universities.
Yeah.
So our generation getting, some 50, 60, they want to retire and they can't. So actually people at 55, 60 are actually more coachable than the younger people because they know we only got 5 or 6 years to do things. So
and we missed out.
Yes.
The world has changed and it's true. You know, growing up, that's what you did. You got good grades so that you could do well at school, so you could go to uni and you could get a good job.
Yes.
And I know certainly when we grew up, I don't know if they did it in Australia, but in South Africa, if you'd worked for a company sort of for 30 years, you got a gold watch. So it was expected that you'd get a good job and you'd stay there and you'd get a gold watch. And the world has changed so much. I think there's such opportunity for people to really live their passions and earn a living.
There's certainly a lot more opportunity for freedom as well. We'll take a quick break and we'll wrap this up. We'll come back with Kathleen and Gerhard and wrap up this bit of a session discovering who is actually behind Vital Signs Consulting. Hi, and welcome back to the show. Yes, I've got Kathleen and Gerhard from Vital Signs Consulting, and I really do appreciate you staying back a little bit longer just to squeeze a little bit more out of this journey you guys have been on. And I suppose a lot of people are saying you had a concept for Vital Signs Consulting. You went out and you went, okay, we're going to do it. But a lot of people say, did you really know what it was going to morph into at the beginning? Or do you think through experience and through time, it's starting to get to actually a shape that you're going, you know what, this is pretty good. How was it for you? How's that startup journey been for you?
I think it's been one of evolution. You know? Business owners will identify with that.
Yes.
I think it's changed a bit from its original concept, but really because we've sort of tuned in and started listening to what people are looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what we're really wanting to achieve is to let people know that their own brand in today's market is currency and that they can have the confidence to go out there and start their own business.
Yeah.
And there are people like Gerhard and myself that are there to support them and help them along the way.
It's interesting that I heard Kathleen mention about people becoming their own brand.
Yes.
It does seem to be the new economy. Is that what you're finding, Gerhard, that this is now the way of the future?
It is so important, and more important is that you need to manage your own brand. Social media is everywhere,
Yes.
and before people are going to do business with you, they will search. And what they see here in front of you and what they see on social media might be two different things. And if there's no trust, I think it will affect the business relationship.
I mean, I've heard recruiters using social
Oh,
media
yes.
to check you before they employ you,
Yes.
or to check you to go, we actually need to job hunt that person.
Yeah. Because your brand is your promise to the market.
Right. Oh.
So
What was that? What did you say? I'll catch this one. That was good. What did you say your brand
Your
was?
brand is your promise to the market.
Ooh.
So, but you have a brand and your business have a brand. So I think that's very important to acknowledge. It's not only one brand.
Right.
Your business got a brand, you got a brand. And you have to manage both of them.
Wow. Now that's an interesting concept. How does a couple put a unified brand out there for their individuality and their business? Or am I looking at 3 brands?
That's something that we struggled with in the beginning. And originally we actually had sort of joint branding.
Team Stoop.
Yes. As a couple, that was kind of a nickname given to us by others.
Right.
And then I think we quickly realised that because we have complementary skills, we actually now have our own branding, but we work on it together so that there's this sort of natural resonance between the two of us. So,
Right.
yeah.
And then the actual business. Can you describe to me what it, because I can hear a few people now going, okay, I get personal brand, business brand. Is there a difference? Should they be the same? Or should there be a distinction? What do you take on that?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I think that's going to vary on an individual basis.
Yeah.
I think it very much depends on the type of work that you do. For us, our brand, there is a clear association, but our personal brand's also quite distinct from Vital Signs Consulting. There's an authenticity, so what you see on our personal brands comes through in Vital Signs Consulting.
Yep.
But certainly there are things that we do in our own brands that wouldn't necessarily be particularly relevant in all cases to Vital Signs Consulting.
But also people do business with people. Understand? So that relationship needs to be there. If you have, for example, Nike, people buy the brand.
Yes.
So they don't know who's behind Nike.
No.
So again, it depends on the type of business.
So it's a good point. I know for like small startups and people just getting going, people talk about branding and say, no, it's really important if you're going to have a really good brand to have a really good set of values that the marketplace can grab hold of. Do you think that your brand should always reflect your values? Is that something that needs to be done these days?
Oh, I agree with that. The stronger your brand gets, the more credibility you get.
Right.
And the more credibility you have, the more powerful you become. And the bigger your brand, people will start coming to you. You don't have to go and look for clients anymore.
That's why they always queue up outside the Apple Mac store.
Of course, exactly.
Whatever you're selling, sign me up.
So the stronger your brand, the more credibility you have, the more power you have, the more people will come to you. So you spend less time chasing clients all the time.
Does that mean as you grow and your brand becomes more powerful, you have to spend more time managing the brand itself to make sure it doesn't lose its authenticity? Did you were saying, Kathleen?
Absolutely. I think it is, I don't want to say a full-time job because that makes it sound like hard work. But I think it is something you consistently need to do. And it's something that you need to be mindful of.
Right.
It's very interesting in this sort of age of social media. A lot of people just will say, well, I'm not into that. And yet we know moving in business circles, if just as a silly example, if you meet someone and they'll immediately try and look you up on LinkedIn. If you're not there, it's already a question mark. That question mark might mean different things.
Yes.
But I think in terms of running your own successful business, you absolutely need to have a social media brand. You need to have a brand for your business, and you do need to be actively managing those. And it will change as the business needs change.
Yes.
It's an organic process.
It was interesting. I was doing some work in a fairly major corporation. I went into the CEO's office. I couldn't believe his desk was empty. He had lots of time. we're chatting away, and he had a little plaque sitting on the desk, and it just said that, it's very important that all my people understand their values, because that's how they'll base their decisions on, and it's very important they understand what we're trying to achieve, because when they understand the two, the decisions will become even better. My job is to make sure the first two things get done. And he was saying about time, but he was saying as the bigger the company got, the more he had to spend on, well, you said people. He said it's all about people. He said take away all the buildings, take away the machinery, take away the vehicles. The biggest asset the business had was its people. And I just find that in this day and age of technology and thumbs going on phones, it's still, to me, seems to be even probably more relevant.
And that can also be part of your brand, how you look after your people.
Yes.
And I think the one thing that we've seen is it can take a lifetime to build your brand and 5 seconds to break it down.
Yes.
So you need to manage your brand.
So people now that may be looking at stepping into their own business, or they're in their own business and it's not quite giving them what their original expectations or dreams were going to be. I'm sure we've all had a few hiccups along the way. What are some words of wisdom you would give these people who are just maybe having those doubts or going, I wish someone would just say something to me that might just help? What would you say?
One of the things that really resonated with me was, if not now, when. People are always sort of waiting for the right time. You know, it's not the right time economically, or it's not the right time family-wise. There's never going to be a right time. No. So if not now, when?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a bit challenging. Gerhard?
I think for me, it comes down to taking action. If you don't take action, it just stays a dream.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's the difference between having a dream and have a vision. If you have that vision, you take action, you will get there. But if you don't do anything, it will stay a dream.
And it doesn't have to be perfect. I think so many of us
there's no perfect business.
Wait for it to, we want to wait for it to be perfect, but you've actually just got to get stuff done, get it out there. You've got to let go of being a perfectionist.
Yes.
And actually just get started, take that first step.
Yeah, I had a manager one time, and I was stepping into my first business. He said, "Here's the best thing I can ever give you," and he said, "A grade B plan executed with total enthusiasm will beat an A grade plan, a grade A plan." He said, "Because you'll be first to market, and look, it'll never be a grade A." And then what happened? Microsoft came on and launched. Remember when Microsoft launched Windows? We were that age. Yeah. They launched Windows. It didn't work. Yes. No. I remember he was panicking whether he could, and he still launched this. I'll just fix it later.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Guys, it's been absolutely fascinating having you on. Thank you so much for your time. People listening now, watching, going, you know what, I wouldn't mind having a chat with the pair of you. What's the best way of them just having a complimentary conversation and just seeing if vital signs is correct for them?
I think they can email me on Gerhard at vitalscienceconsulting.com.au.
Yep.
And we can just start a conversation.
Wonderful. We'll put that link underneath in the description, so you'll better contact Gerhard and Kathleen from there. Thank you so much. It's been fantastic.
Thanks
so
much
for having us.
Thank you.